All right, hello everybody, and welcome to the Frantic Talks podcast. I am your host, Frantic. With me, as always, is my lovely co-host,
Grunt. Hello.
Hello, everyone. We are here to talk about gaming.
And junk.
So you might have noticed at the very beginning, I did not mention an episode number. That is because this is one of our archive casts, ones that are a little shorter, dedicated to one sole topic, and that's because we didn't go live the week that this is coming out. With that being said, we have a very interesting topic to talk about today, but before we get into that, we are going to talk about where you can find us to continue the conversation. We're going to have a pretty in-depth conversation today about something very specific, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on it. So with that being said, let's talk about that. I am at FranticJ3 on Twitter, he is at OnyxSpartan, ONYXSpartan on Twitter, and we are at Frantic Talks, Frantic_Talks on Twitter. That is where you can follow us, send us tweets about all the things that you're thinking in relation to the episodes and stuff like that, and you can also follow us to get all the information that will be tweeting out, like articles, podcasts, schedule changes, all that fun stuff. You can hit up our special podcast ghost at FreakShow187. He likes puns, and he likes to puntify things that you send to him. You can also head over to twitch.tv/Frantic Talks, all one word. That is where you can find us live, usually every Saturday, usually at 3 p.m. Eastern, usually, like saying usually there. Kind of ironic because we're not live right now, but whatever.
Irony.
Curse you, irony. You can also head over to youtube.com and get what we like to call the beta pre-order early access by searching up Frantic Talks and subscribing. You'll get the podcast and video form roughly 2 days before it would go out normally, so you can get the early content there, along with all the other stuff we've done, like the genre guessing game, which you might recognize the format we are currently recording in, as well as, I can't talk, Sunday show where I talked about music and fun stuff like that. Also, head over to facebook.com/Frantic Talks, all one word. Hit the like button, like as of right now, 135 people have done, where you get a more Facebook form and Twitter. And also head over to frantictalks.com, where you will find all the stuff I just mentioned in the footer, along with all our articles, all our podcasts, and a link to magic.frantictalks.com, where we talk about Magic the Gathering, which is kind of part of today's discussion, but we'll get there. Also, head over to Twitter, our official Twitter account, Frantic_Talks, where we have linked the Discord channel, where you can join our Discord chat and talk about whatever the hell you want, basically. So,
pretty much.
And we'll also send links and stuff through there that we'll be talking about. And you can even suggest links if you want. So, all that stuff is there. And that about does it. So today we got a very interesting topic. Now, we normally, on the archive cast, like to do top fives, but today we got a little bit of a different one for you. I'm really excited to talk about, and I think Grunt is too. So, basically, today we're going to be talking about, well, I guess I'll let Grunt talk about it here in a second, but he's been bugging me to do this for a little bit, and we haven't been able to fit it into a podcast, so we're going to dedicate this whole next 20, almost 7 minutes to that. So without further ado, Grunt, why don't you set us up here? I'm going to go ahead and put the image on screen. Grunt's going to pop up now. There he goes. Damn, I timed that well. This OBS transition thing is weird. But anyways, there's an image on screen. Grunt, give us some background.
So background, today's topic revolves around kind of this image, but something that was a result that was said by someone I know from that image.
Mm-hmm.
What it is it's an image from a Facebook page called Commander Society that is basically just a place that's obsessed with the Commander and EDH format of Magic the Gathering.
Mm-hmm.
What you're seeing a picture of a card, 14 cards on the battlefield, 13 of which are mountains. One is a creature card, and then a card, I don't know how many are in the hand. I don't have the picture pulled up. But basically cards that are in your hand. Mm-hmm. And what the page wanted to know is, everyone loves damage. What's the maximum amount of damage that you can deal to all players with the board state? Assuming that, you have 3 opponents, all with no board state, and they all don't have any cards. So basically, you're the only one that can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
One of the people from the group that I play EDH with quite frequently shared that article or that post and mentioned the comment that, a lot of people don't know how to play Magic correctly, mm-hmm. because they can get way more damage to what they're actually posting. I personally don't necessarily agree with that because, yes, while you can find a specific way to maximize your damage with that board state, and especially in games like Magic the Gathering, there really is no right or wrong way to play a game.
So, when Grunt showed me this image, and I started trying to figure out in my head, because that's how my head works, one thing that Grunt said is that there's no right or wrong way to play. And interestingly enough, that's what we're talking about is there a right or wrong way to play? And I don't think there's necessarily a wrong way to play anything. But I will add on to this briefly just to show how my mind works, is that there theoretically is a max damage you can get from this, but that's not how you play, that's how your mind works. And so when playing in the manner of I need to find the most optimal route, which would be figuring out how to make the most out of the board state, that is a competitive mindset. And you could argue Magic's a competitive game, of course. But basically, the point that Grunt's trying to make, and the point that I basically agree with, is it doesn't really matter what the most optimal amount of damage is unless you're trying to answer that question. So at any other given point, if this is me playing and I have this, and I'm just like, what should I do? I could run through all the scenarios. Or I could just be like, yeah, I think this would be fun to play this, this, and that. And it makes no difference. For instance, when we held a pre-release for the set that's actually on screen, the Hour of Devastation, one of the cards that's on the screen is from that set. When we did our own pre-release, I had a game where I theoretically probably should have won had I taken the most optimal route. And while I will admit in the moment I kind of forgot what I needed to do, and forgot that there was a card in my hand that would have put me really far ahead of my opponent, it was more fun to just kind of get the back and forth play than it was to essentially do what's called land destruction. It wasn't actually land destruction, but it was the equivalent of it. It would have been stopping my opponent from getting any amount of lands for the next 2 turns or 3 turns, and I would have been miles ahead of them. It wouldn't have been fun. It would have just been here, eat face, beat face, eat it, take it, and then game's over. It wouldn't have been fun. And my thinking, and I think Grunt's as well, is the right way to play is the way that's fun. So you can take the optimal route, which is figuring out the damage here. And that could be fun for some people. You know, a lot of people really enjoy the really big plays that just nuke everything, and I think they're called Timmy players. They really enjoy something like that. But ultimately, I think we both would agree, and hopefully you see what we're talking about here, is that it's all about what you want to do, not necessarily what the best option is.
Oh, right. Yeah. I've never, like I said when I was recapping the point here, is I've never liked the statement of, well, there's a right way to play this, or there's a wrong way to play this. The truly right, quote-unquote, way to play it is whatever way is going to give you the most enjoyment. Whether that's just, in this specific scenario, if that's getting as much damage as you possibly can to pulverize your opponent, if that's what you enjoy, then, that's the right way to play. If you want to get it down to where, you're trading blows with your opponent until one of you is basically the first one to lose that last life point, if you enjoyed it then that's the right way to play. You know? Like you said, there's the optimal route, which gives you the best end result, which you could look at it being, that's the right way to play, and anything different is wrong. But, I just never really agreed with the whole there's a right or wrong way to play.
Yeah, no, I mean, and you bring up a good point that it's the optimal way is going to give you the best case scenario. That doesn't mean you're going to win, by the way. And there could be an argument had within and of itself there that you could, good poker face, good bluffing, you could still win given the worst case scenario. But I don't know. I agree that there isn't a right or wrong way to play, because it's all about having fun, and what Grunt finds fun versus what I find fun could be two entirely different things. Like, for instance, in Destiny, you might have heard us mention Tier 12 on the podcast before, and if you aren't familiar with what Tier 12 is, it's essentially just the best... Nerd. Tier 12 nerd. A great insult. But anyways, Tier 12 is just the best stat spread that you can get from the armor you get, and it's about just min-maxing it, essentially. What stuff do I want to... What stuff do I want to have the best cooldown on? So, I throw a grenade, how long till it comes back is based off of one of the stats that is in this whole Tier 12 thing.
Right.
Most players, probably like 75% of the player base, I'd almost argue, don't really know or care about Tier 12, Grunt being one of them. Personally, I find it interesting because it's just min-maxing sometimes can be fun for me, because it's like, oh, I've made the best of my situation. Other times, I could care less, like I was playing just the other day and with Freak Show. and I jumped in and I was switching armor off and off because we were doing one of the heroic strikes, and then we were doing a story mode, and each one had different modifiers, so I needed different exotics. So I was just swapping stuff in and out and wasn't really caring what my stat spread was. I was like, I just want this thing on and I don't give a shit. But I had the stuff to where I could have possibly made it a better spread. But, putting that extra 2 or 3 minutes of effort in, I just didn't feel like it. And
Right.
it didn't matter, because what that does is that essentially shaves 3 or 4 seconds off of your cooldown time. Now, the only time that matters, in my opinion, is when you're playing the most competitive PvP, because you need your stuff as quick as possible. The ways, if you're used to killing somebody by throwing a grenade and shooting, you need your grenades as often as possible. So, it didn't really matter to me in that sense. And some people might have just been like, oh, that's stupid, you should have been focused dead in on it. Well, personally, that's how you play, and how I play is just I just want to throw supers 100 times. I'll minimize every stat but intellect just so I can have 100 supers in the game. Like, seriously, that's all I'll do. And if that didn't make sense to you, don't worry. It's just a matter of I'll put stuff in that makes me want to have fun the way I like having fun. But
Right.
that's kind of the moral of the story here is you shouldn't critique people for how they enjoy something. And this extends more than the video game, from just gaming, like music. People will criticize you for liking some pop song on the radio when in reality you like the song. Who the hell cares?
Country music.
Exactly. As much as I can harp on it, it's seriously.
I'm at fault for that too. So
Yeah, no. And sometimes you can't help it. Sometimes you're just like a lot of people, when they find something they enjoy, they understand why they enjoy it, and they understand where that enjoyment comes from and all that. They want others to experience that joy themselves. And it kind of becomes self-righteous, I suppose is the right way to say that, where they want to give you that excitement, but when you aren't willing, they take it personally. And that's where a lot of that comes from, actually. But, someone who likes rock music and hates country, it's like, why do you like that country? Listen to this stuff. I like this stuff. You should like it. And it's all...
that's not how that works.
No, it's all subjectivity. Like, seriously.
All right. It's like, I found myself lately, during the past week of recording this, I've been playing a lot of Skyrim. So, I've been trying to find out why I've been enjoying Skyrim so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because, it's a good game in its own right, but you can do pretty much anything you want in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a role-playing game at its core. So you can go be a King Slayer or a Dragon Slayer or whatever. Hopefully someone catches a Game of Thrones reference I just made there.
When you said Kingslayer, the only thing that came to mind was orcs. But you're good.
Oh.
I also got that. That was a good reference. The Kingslayer, yes, that was good. I'm just like, oh, orcs, yeah. Oh wait, this is a Game of Thrones reference time.
Or it could have been Destiny. You don't know.
Hey, I mean, I was still in that Destiny mindset, but you can keep going.
But yeah, basically, I feel with playing a game like Skyrim and an RPG like that's open world and kind of sort of open-ended, you can do whatever you want. I know a lot of people that they just want to blow through the main storyline quest to get it done, get their achievements, get the story line out of the way, and then that's it. They probably never play the game again.
It's true.
I've seen a lot of people say, well, that's not the way you should play a game, because that's not what games like that are meant for. They're meant for exploring and doing all the other stuff and leveling up and getting the best gear you can and blah, blah, blah. Again, it goes back to this whole, you're saying this is the way I should play a game. That's not how I enjoy the game.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy the game for the fact that you can do all that stuff.
Right, and what's really interesting to me, there's a couple of things I want to dissect from what you just said, but most importantly is that when you look back at the articles we've written, I want to say my last article even, talked about almost exactly what you were saying, where it's like, you're good. The stuff is in the game because someone enjoys it.
Right.
Someone really enjoys exploring the endless miles of content in something like Skyrim. Other people enjoy the endless grinding of RuneScape. Other people enjoy just going and killing stuff as quickly as possible. My friend really enjoyed leveling up his Skyrim characters pickpocketing so he could steal pants off of people and they didn't notice it. Like, he really did that. I really wanted to mention that because it's really funny. But you see what I mean, though? People enjoy what they're going to enjoy.
I'm going to do that.
You can do it. It's really a thing. Another one was, I don't think it was in Skyrim, of course, but there was a game where you could pickpocket people, and they were pickpocketing and leaving grenades. I think it was Fallout. You can pickpocket and leave a grenade. There's actually an achievement for it in Fallout 3.
You can't do that in Fallout 4.
Yeah, so people enjoy some of the stupid stuff like that, and that's entirely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But when it comes down to it, so here's another personal story. I had a friend who hadn't played Minecraft, and this is back before Minecraft was huge. This was like when it was first kind of breaking out, like 2010-ish.
Right.
They hadn't played Minecraft, and they were really interested because everyone's like, it's a sandbox game. You just do whatever the hell you want. And something like that wasn't necessarily popular, hadn't really been around unless it was something like Roller Coaster Tycoon or some of the simulation games. It was like, oh, a sandbox game where you just build with Legos, kind of? That sounds interesting. I mean, that's pretty much the basis of it. And so she started playing it, and as soon as she started, they were like, no. When you do this, you got to do this. And, like, you never dig down. When you're building, you jump on top and build one block at a time. And they were trying to tell her how to build and how to play it. And she was like, what the hell? You guys said this was a sandbox game. I could play however I wanted, and now you're telling me everything I'm doing is wrong. I don't understand. And she got really upset. And I understand why she did, because they literally said, yeah, it's a sandbox game, do whatever you want. But no, don't do it like that. No, why are you doing it like that?
Right. Experience is not a generally good idea to dig down in Minecraft.
Right,
but, again, it goes back to what you said. You're dictating how someone plays.
Right, and I mean, you'll live and learn. If you dig down and you hit lava, you'll be like, oh, probably shouldn't dig down again. Like there are general rules of thumb, like, yeah, you probably shouldn't do that, and it's good to keep in mind, but there's nothing stopping you from doing it.
Right. And, another thing is, how much should you let the game developer dictate how you play?
That's a good point.
I
mean, some games the developer is going to really influence it because they want you to follow their mechanics to a T, essentially, and that's how the game should be played. Right. But others, not so much.
Right, and it can be something as complex as to how the game works. Like you just said, game mechanics too. Let me use Destiny as an example. Mm-hmm. To activities to do within the game. There's stuff for people to do in the game. If they want to play against AI, then there's all kinds of PvE activities, raids, strikes, patrols, whatever you're in the mood for. If you want to go smash on your friends, there's custom Crucible matches for that. There's other, there's the general Crucible that you can play if you want to play that. So they're putting things in the game for everyone to enjoy. Mm-hmm. And I don't feel that people should be saying, well, you should play this instead of this because this is what I want to enjoy, and this is how it should be enjoyed.
Right, and
if I want to play through Nightfall 4 times in a day, then let me play through a Nightfall instead of the Crucible 4 times in a day.
Right, exactly. And
especially if Daybreak is on.
Oh, especially if Daybreak is on, absolutely. And interestingly enough, and to your point, where how much do you let the developers dictate it? The reason they would only want you to play the Nightfall once, because after you play it the first time, you get awesome rewards. After that, there's really no benefit besides if you just enjoy the Daybreak version of this or whatever, Right. So I have 2 things I want to add to what you had said. First off is, I actually forgot the first one, now that I say that. But I had, so there was an image I shared on Facebook. This was the other one, and maybe I'll remember while I'm talking about it. There was an image I shared on Facebook, and this picture kind of was just like, here's a friendly reminder that you don't have to be a super fan to enjoy something, and it kind of listed multiple things. It was like, you don't have to know every single quote from a movie franchise. Like, if you like Star Wars, you don't have to know every single quote from the stories. If you are a fan of a TV show, you don't have to know every single cast member's name and their stunt double's name. You don't have to know all these ridiculous details to be a true fan. And we've talked about this idea of gatekeeping before, where it's like, you aren't a real fan unless X, Y, Z. So that goes to this as well. It's like, you're a fan if you enjoy playing it. And, I've only played some of my games that I really enjoy for a few hours. Like, sure, I've played Rocket League 100 hours, and I've played Destiny like 500 hours. But other games I've played and really enjoyed, like Red Dead Redemption, at this point I've played maybe 10 or 11 hours of it. I really enjoy Red Dead Redemption and say I'm a fan, but other people who have put 100 hours into it and know every detail of the map are fans as well. They just enjoyed exploring it more than I have currently. So to them, I would, if they were going to say I wasn't a true fan, I'd be like, well, screw you. I had fun playing the game, and maybe I don't have as much time as you do to put into it. There's nothing wrong with having that much time. It's a matter of how we enjoyed the game, and I've enjoyed the amount I've played so far. So that's the biggest problem, and it's people trying to dictate how you enjoy something. And you just shouldn't do that.
Right. Gaming in general, I feel, is more about the experience.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that be, playing a game, a video game, and experiencing what the developer puts into it, or playing like a tabletop RPG game and the experience from the friendships you get there.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, maybe you'll have a sweet tale to tell of how you just about killed a party member, but yet you somehow saved them or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about those experiences than trying to just play it because it's something you want to do. Not that there's anything wrong with playing it because it's something you want to do. I do that often, but gaming, it's so complex to people for many reasons.
I often feel like, and I think this happens in a lot of things, personally, but essentially, excuse me, when it comes to stuff like this, where people are like going, I've explored every inch of the map and I know all the Easter eggs, it becomes less of a love for it and more of, and excuse my French here, of a dick measuring contest. And you can see that in a lot of things where people enjoy something, but they want to say they know more about it or enjoyed it more than you for whatever reason, typically egotistical reasons. Now, this is a small portion. Don't take this as me saying every gamer who isn't us thinks that they just know everything and are trying to impress somebody with their knowledge. There's a fair share of people out there like that, and there's a lot of people out there just like us where we're like, dude, we're just gonna play the game and have fun.
Right.
So I could sit here and try to prove to you guys, like I'm wearing a Pokemon shirt right now, I could sit here and try and prove to you how much I know about EVs, IVs, and all the breeding system and all that stuff from the early games, because I studied a lot of it and was really into that type of stuff.
Please don't. I don't want to know about the Pokemon birds and bees.
But my point is, one, you probably don't want to hear about that, and two, I could go on and on about it for the next 30 minutes about how all of this is so intriguing and interesting, and no, you don't know it, I know it type stuff. And there's a lot of people out there like that, but I don't know. To me, I feel like that's just almost childish in a way.
Right.
And sure, there's a lot of overgrown childs out there playing video games. There's also children out there playing video games. But when it comes down to it, the people that are not children, that's the problem with me, at least. Not with me, my problem I have with this, I should say, is just people who either are trying to show off or just trying to prove that they're more into it than you are, and it makes no sense to me. And that's how they'll try and dictate how much fun you can have with it. Like, oh, well, I spent all this time studying and learning of it, and you just take 5 minutes out of your day to play it? What the hell? It's like they're almost insulted by it. I don't know.
You're not a true fan.
Yeah, and of course this goes back to our whole gatekeeping thing. I feel like I circle around to that a lot, but I see it so goddamn often.
It's so true, though, man. It's so true. So
bothers the hell out of me, because it's like, why do you gotta? Who are you to say you can enjoy this, and who are you to tell somebody how they can do something? I don't know.
Oh, right. There's when it comes to things like Destiny, I like to say that I have a decent amount of knowledge about the game and how certain things about it work, but when it comes to perks on weapons, I don't know. I refer to our podcast Ghost for that. Freak show.
He's our perk expert too. Podcast Ghost perk expert.
So, there's probably people who would say, oh, well, you're not a true fan because you don't know everything there is to know about the game. Well, maybe I just find having the best perks not something that interests me.
Yeah, and some people will find joy in the unknown. If I don't know necessarily on perks per se, but just not knowing things about it and having the unexpected can still provide a sense of excitement or fun to it.
Oh yeah.
Not knowing every single aspect of the game might lead you to discover things you didn't know about it or find things interesting you didn't necessarily previously know about or whatever.
Right.
So,
and it's that natural sense of discovery that human beings have that I think is a good benefit to that. So you can play a expansive game for years upon end, and yet go back to it, like for Halo 2, you go back to it 13 years after the game's released, maybe you find something you didn't notice when you first played, and you're like, wow, that's cool. I didn't notice that.
Right, exactly. And I could sit here and say, oh, well, I'll never experience that because I know everything. And what's the point in saying that, of course? But he's got that's.
True.
I mean, there's probably something in that game I don't know about, but more than likely. But it's just, it boils down to, why does it matter how someone else enjoys something as long as you're both enjoying it?
Right.
And I don't think it does. And to the people who think it is, the people who think that it matters, reevaluate why. I don't want to tell you you're wrong. That would almost be ironic in a way. But I want you to at least think about it. Like, if someone ever comes up to you and says, you're not enjoying this, I'd want you to challenge them, whoever's listening to this. I want you to say, well, why? Why is my way of fun not as good as yours? And obviously don't phrase it as in enlighten me, tell me why it's so good. But essentially, like, why is there a problem with how I play versus how you play?
Right.
If I'm going to go into Destiny and play PvP, what's so bad about me wanting to run around with the waltz when it's been nerfed to the point where it's not very good, and you're going to run around using God Roll Ice Luna? What's the difference? I'm having fun playing with my really cool pulse rifle, and you're having fun kicking some ass with the Luna. There's no difference in the experience. I'm having maybe more or less joy than you are, and in the end of the day, I'm just happy I played and had fun with my friends. So,
right. Yeah.
Why?
So, it's like when it comes to playing EDH with the group of people that I started mentioning at the start of this, the beginning of this, they have, since they've been playing it for years, they have much better decks than I do. So obviously the piddly ones I put together aren't going to do as good. Mm-hmm. Save for Threx Metal, it's pretty okay. But if I can throw a hitch into their plans of trying to beat everyone else up and cause chaos, that's what I enjoy.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that.
They maybe want to win the game straight out. Maybe draw like 40 cards or 42 cards in one hand and have this gigantic hand because they have a card that lets them have no hand size. Maybe that's what they enjoy. That's not what I enjoy, but it's not my place to tell them that's not how you should be playing.
Exactly.
You wanna kill this person with that much damage on turn 3? Well, that's not fun. For the person that's going to end up dying on turn 3, no, that's probably not fun. But again, where is it right for us to say your way of playing is wrong?
Exactly. I'm not going to enjoy counter spells. I never really have enjoyed them, but sometimes necessary evils are a thing, and sometimes people really enjoy doing that. So it's all a matter of how you enjoy it, and that, I would say, is the right way to play. And there really is no wrong way to play.
I fully agree with that. The right way is however you're going to enjoy it the most.
Mm-hmm. And there absolutely is no wrong way, and don't let anyone ever tell you otherwise. And if they do send them my way, I'll give them a tough talk.
Okay.
All right, so on that note, I think that about does it. We're getting close to time here. So anything else you would like to add, Grunt, or are you ready to close it out?
I believe I have said everything I could possibly say about this.
Yeah, me too. And this is perfect timing. So with that being said, guys, let us know your thoughts on this. Easiest way to do that is hit us up on Twitter. I am at FranticJ3. He is at OnyxSpartan, ONYXSpartan, and we are at Frantic_Talks. Hit us up, let us know your thoughts, give us a follow so you can keep up to date with our podcast article schedule. Also, hit up at FreakShow187, our special podcast ghost. He's a perk master, he likes his puns, and he'll puntify anything you send his way. I hope I didn't just open up the door for him to get tons of requests on what perks to pick on his weapons. Either way, I mean, he might enjoy it, actually, now that I think about that. But anyways, also, head over to twitch.tv/Frantic Talks, all one word, where you can catch us live every Saturday, usually at 3 p.m. Eastern. Usually, of course, we're not live right now. We won't be whenever this comes out. But either way, you can always catch us and join in on the chat and usually get a shout out if you're there. Also, if you don't catch us live and you want to catch the podcast before it goes live on the audio version on Mondays normally, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. We usually upload the video of the podcast shortly after we record it, so on Saturdays. But youtube.com, search Frantic Talks, hit subscribe. You'll get access to that along with the genre guessing game and the Sunday shows that I'd been doing for a while there. All that's there. You can also head over to facebook.com/Frantic Talks, all one word. Hit the like button like 135 others have done so far, and that's where you'll get a Facebook form of our Twitter. And last but not least, head over to frantictalks.com, all one word. That's where you'll find the mothership of all the stuff I just said in the footer, along with all our articles, podcasts, link to magic.frantictalks.com, where we do Magic the Gathering. All that stuff will be there for you. And also, if you go over to our Twitter account, you can see the pinned tweet is our Discord channel. And you can join in the Discord and have conversations with us about whatever the hell you want. And you'll also get links, and you can send us links to stuff you might want us to talk about in the next episode. So, with all that being said, if you can't seem to find us, there's always one way that you can. You can guarantee it'll work. 110 times out of 10, Grunt, how will they find us?
Direct themselves to their nearest search engine and just search Frantic Talks. They will find us.
Guarantee it.
Guaranteed.
All right, well, let us know what you guys think about this, and I'd love to hear all your guys' opinion. And hopefully, we're back the week after this comes out. We'll see what happens. But archive casts are fun, short little bits, and yep, that about does it. So, with that being said, I'm Frantic.
I'm Grunt.
I need to come up with better ways to close this out, and we'll see you guys next time.